Hi.
Hey guys, Yasa here, freebyNASClasses.com. So, another car vlog. We're on our way to a friend's party, and it's funny, we were just talking quickly about a documentary that I watched this morning on BBC, and it was about dancing and eating disorders. And I thought it was such an interesting documentary, and it's something we can all relate to. Not necessarily in the sense of eating disorders, because I think like not most of us obviously have eating disorders, but from the sense of, you know, weight, a body dysmorphia issues that we all have as humans in general, but in particular as dancers, because there's so much pressure on us dancers to look in a certain way, or to be like this perfect, like, you know, what do you call it, a lot of people even now like even use the phrase like dancer's body, like it's a body type that we have to fit in, and if you're a dancer and you don't fit that body style, then there's like something wrong with you, whether that's a man or a woman. So it doesn't really matter what sex you are, it's something that really does affect all dancers, and belly dancers, of course, you know, are mostly affected by that as well. You know, probably more than others, because we tend to have to show a lot of body in our performances. You know, our midsection, which is the part of that most women tend to gain weight at, is particularly prone to gain weight, and of course that's what we have to display the most. So how do you address that? You know, like this whole idea like you have to fit in a certain body style in order to be called a certain, you know, dance style. Like, oh, you're not a belly dancer. Like, I've had even people like, and this could go honestly both ways, I've had honestly people on the blog email me literally and tell me, you are way too skinny to be calling yourself a belly dancer. I really did. I had also, and this is really funny to me, but I had actually men email me on the blog and tell me, your tummy is too flat to be called a belly dancer, right? So it's really interesting, because it could go both ways. It could be called like too fat to be a belly dancer, too skinny to be a belly dancer, too fat to be a dancer in general, too skinny to be a belly dancer in general. And one thing that was interesting to me, like I watched, I mean, it's really disturbing when I was watching this documentary today on the BBC, like the extremes that some of these dancers have gone through. And of course a lot of the dancers they interviewed were like modern dancers or ballet dancers, and obviously the conditions were a little bit different obviously than most belly dancers. Like we show mostly our midsection, but whereas these ballet dancers, excuse me, and modern dancers, it's mostly like lower body that they show, like leg and chest. And so like even like the parts that they were more aware of were the parts that they show, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Like they were only talking about like these are people, like, mind you, first of all, these are people that have serious body dysmorphia issues, and they were mostly talking about like the collarbones, and they were talking about like this whole idea of thigh gap, you know, like having the gap between your legs because they show more leg, and having defined, they call it, it's funny because they use the phrase defined chest bones, and I thought that was kind of interesting. What does that even mean, defined? It's not like you have a muscle in your chest bones. I mean, those are bones, right? So there's no definition per se, right? It's just like more your bones showing than anything else. But they would use the phrase like defined chest bones. So they were more concerned about the parts of their bodies that you can see, you know, which is their chest, basically, the collarbones, and then their legs, and then their thighs. Whereas belly dancers never really talk about that. I think most belly dancers really talk about you know, the midsection. They talk about hips, they talk about you know, love handles, they talk about belly. Those are the things we talk about, because those are the things obviously we show. So I think really like the whole idea of being obsessed with your body as a dancer has a lot to do with what your audience tends to see, and that is the part of your body that you're most obsessed with. And the documentary does definitely talk about men and women, so this is not like something that only affects women. Jason here driving. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
He's a dancer himself. He's more of a Latin trained like ballroom dancer, so he definitely doesn't have a lot of pressure to show a lot of skin like most of us do. But it is definitely something that I think all dancers, male and female, no matter what style of dance, deal with, right, Jason?
Absolutely.
What do you deal with?
A lot of people that I have a lot of ladies who are bigger women. By big, I mean like 225 pounds. And they've gotten themselves into Zumba. Everybody knows about Zumba. And they got introduced to Latin through Zumba, so they come to my class, and they're taking 2 or 3 months worth. And yes, they're losing weight, but they're still not happy because of how heavy they are. Now, I'm talking about men. I've had several men come up to me on a private lesson and say, how do I lose weight? How do I get in shape? What am I doing wrong? And, you know, because of Tiaza, I've been very well versed in that particular subject these days, and she helped me lose 42 pounds. So I have an experience there.
42, really?
Yeah, it was 42 pounds. I was,
I met him when he was fat. I'm just kidding.
She was a chubby chaser.
It's funny, we're talking about all this stuff. I'm like, I have this platter of fruit sitting next to me here. So I'm like snacking, sorry. I'm really, really hungry.
You know, the one thing that resonated in my mind the most is that with weight loss, it really begins in the kitchen. And I told them that, and they just looked at me like I was nuts, and I was like, a light bulb went off on their head. And I said, that doesn't mean you can't work out. It just means you have to watch what you eat in the kitchen. If you go and work out, and then you go to a fast food restaurant and have a milkshake and burger and fries, well, you just killed your workout.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
especially if you're talking about weight loss, I think it's more like weight loss than anything else. Like if you're talking about weight loss, it's definitely a kitchen battle. Totally. Like your abs are totally made in the kitchen. Like for those of you who always ask me, like I get so many comments on the website like, oh, I get abs like yours. They're really like made in the kitchen. Honestly, like just don't eat shit. I mean, it's that simple. Don't eat stuff that's going to like hide your abs, because everybody has abs. Is there any person who doesn't have abs? There's not a single person on earth who doesn't. So whether you can see them or not, defined or not, it really is a lot to do. Has a lot to do with like how much fat there is between the muscle and the skin, and that is basically, you know, is something you basically control with your diet. You know, it's that simple. But yeah, like Jason was saying, like he's a Latin dance instructor, and like he has students that talk a lot about weight loss, and it's definitely something that is everybody I think is concerned with these days, whether you're a student or a professional or professor or whatever. You're always concerned with a diet, and it's not because you think you should be concerned with it, it's because everybody else thinks you should be concerned with it. And that is that's like the saddest thing. It's like we don't have to fit into this like image of what's perfect because other people think.
Cultural image.
You know what I mean? Like other people think in a certain way. Like a lot of my followers like, oh, you lost weight, you gained weight. Yeah, I've been through stages where I gained and lost weight, you know. I felt comfortable at a certain weight, and that's my personal choice. I don't do it because somebody else thinks I look better that way. It's because I feel better that way, you know? And that's what I focus on the most. And I think you could look, and you could feel great at 300 pounds as much as you can feel great at 100 pounds. I really do believe strongly in that. I have seen amazing dancers that are really, really big by like society standards, that like move amazingly well, feel extremely healthy, and if they took like any medical test, they'll like be considered extremely healthy people because they're tall, they're wide, they're big bone built, and their weight is just gonna naturally be a bigger weight. That's just the way it is. And then you have people like me who are much smaller. I'm tiny. I'm like 5 feet tall, and my bone structure is really small. And if I am, you know, what society consider like normal way, I'd be like miserable because I am technically gonna be too big. Like I just don't feel good. I feel like I'm carrying too much weight. So what's right and what's wrong is just a point of view, you know, and that applies to any human being on this planet, whether you're a dancer or not. Just I think there's a little bit more pressure on dancers in general because of like what it's being defined before us. So I think it's really our responsibility as dancers to like fight that, you know. It's really a daily constant battle, And belly dancers do, by the way, an amazing job at that, I have to say, because honestly, belly dancing is one of the very few styles of dance out there that really advertises itself as, hey, we are a dance for everyone and anyone, no matter what your body type is. So kudos to belly dancers for that. Of course, you have to draw a fine line there between, you know, being overweight and unhealthy and encouraging that versus being like, hey, I'm a big chick and I like to belly dance and I like to dance, I like music, and you know, you don't like me in your ballet class, but hey, I could totally do this whole belly dance thing. I think that's awesome and I think that's great, but as long as you do it in a healthy way and you don't have diabetes or heart issues, then kudos to you. But past a certain that fine line, you know, where you're like healthy and feel great, and then other people are telling you, oh, well, you're still too big for ballet, tell him to go and flush it. Honestly, that's what you gotta tell him, you know. Seriously, give him the finger and move on with your life. Especially,
self-confidence is a big thing to do with dancing.
Yeah,
as long
absolutely.
as you're comfortable within yourself and you know you're feeling beautiful, don't care about anybody else in the world and what they say to you, even if it's your own mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't worry about what they think. It's all about how you feel.
Yeah.
And you know, another thing with weight loss and being big and not being able always to do it is stress. How much stress is in your life? Think about that the next time you decide to try to lose weight. And whatever that stress is, try to cut it. Because we all have to be one with our zen, you know, in order to, you know, to be comfortable with ourselves.
Right. Yeah, because like honestly, like I think we think a lot about weight loss and weight gain, whatever, like from perspective of workout and diet, but yeah, we forget the third factor, which is always stress. It's very important to remind yourself of that. So, you know, investigate a little bit, ask yourself how much sleep you're getting, you know, how is your relationship with people around you, because that causes a lot of stress with your work, so many other things, you know. So talk to yourself about that. You don't have to like address it with other people necessarily, but just talk to yourself in the beginning about it and see how you feel about that. If there's any things that need to be improved, corrected, whatever, because that can make a huge impact on your health. Not necessarily weight loss, because it's just like a consequence of everything else, but focus more on health, because once your health is doing fantastic and you're feeling fabulous about yourself, weight loss is just like this automatic, you know, consequence that comes along with everything else in your life. So focus on that. As a dancer or non-dancer, honestly, yeah, there's a lot more stress on dancers because we have to fit into this like category, whatever, and we have to perform, we have to deliver, we have to have like this perfect choreography, you have to remember every single move when we perform. And it's just like so much pressure on us, like, you know, psychologically. So if you are dealing with that much, then maybe it's time to ask yourself like, hey, is this whole dance thing for me? After all, maybe I am a fantastic dancer, but not necessarily a fantastic performer, you know? So ask yourself, just question what's going on around you, things like you've been told forever, and how can you correct them, and because that has everything to do with everything else, honestly. I know. Anyways, too much talk. I want to let you guys go here, but I just want you to know that you're not into this alone. Every dancer does deal with it. And the way to approach it is by simply giving a finger to those people who think you should lose weight or gain weight, as long as you feel healthy. If you don't feel healthy and you feel like, you know, there's some improvement to be done, then you know, approach it, and approach it from different views, not just diet and starving yourself or working out too much, like, oh, I'm just gonna have to run every single day in order to lose weight. You know, that's just like a temporary thing. Like, if you have a short-term goal, you can totally accomplish it with that, but if you have a long-term goal, then there's more to it than that. So anyways, yeah, post your comment on this video on YouTube and let us know what you're struggling with as a dancer, if you love your body as it is, and don't give a crap about what anybody thinks, and you think you're a great dancer because you enjoy yourself doing it. Give this video a thumbs up and encourage all dancers to do the same. So I'll see you guys in the next video on freebaddance.com.
Peace. Happy dancing.
Kisses.